how realistic is their interest? Is this just a plan B in case Leroy Sane doesn't work out for them?
Yes, it is very much a plan B, but it looks as if plan A might not happen. So Dembélé, who's someone who they wanted initially and were pipped to it by Dortmund back when he was still at Rennes, and then even I think we're preparing a bid while he was at Dortmund, is someone that has always been on the radar for them. There has been a meeting not long ago, Sportbild revealed, between him and between Bayern and his people. But of course, I think the dynamic or the opportunity now has arisen in recent weeks from the Bayern side, but also from the Dembélé side, because it looks as if Barcelona might now be very open to offers, making room both on the balance sheet and on the actual pitch for a certain Neymar to come in on the left. So a little bit opportunistic, as it was with Sane to begin with, and at least a chance that an opportunity that needs exploring from Bayern's point of view.
Yeah, obviously all tied into the Neymar situation, Raf. Are Bayern sniffing a bargain potentially here? Because they're not a club that go out and generally pay above the odds, are they? Dembélé cost over 100 million.
I'm not sure it's going to be a bargain. I mean, they already spent 80 million euros for Lucas Hernandez. I think they have kind of given the game away by saying we are prepared to spend the kind of money that City want for Sane, which is also going to be 100 million euros plus. So they will want to see, I think, the risk that is maybe associated with Dembélé reflected in the fee, maybe reflected even in the wages, because he left Dortmund, he left the Bundesliga under a huge cloud, having effectively stopped turning up for training for the last couple of weeks, left a lot of bad blood and a lot of question marks about his professionalism behind. So Bayern will want to be somehow, almost compensated for taking that risk on him. But a bargain, no. It's still going to be the best part of 100 million euros, whatever Barcelona do.
Well, he's been at the Nou Camp 2 years. Had a much better second season, didn't he, Dembélé, after an injury-riddled first campaign. 42 appearances in all competitions, 14 goals and 9 assists. Guys, he has as much raw talent as anyone in the game, but the question mark seems to be mentality, doesn't it?
It's funny that Raf uses that word risk. When you're spending over 100 million on a player, I think risk should not be something that should come into it. But I think this is absolutely what it is with this guy.
Big gamble.
Well, he left Dortmund still a prospect. He left Dortmund with a cloud over his professionalism. And while he's at Barcelona, there were questions over his professionalism. He's had injury problems. And really, he had a little spell where he was scoring some goals, but has he really been consistent since he's been at Barcelona? I would suggest no. So I think risk is absolutely the word if you're going to sign this guy, Dembélé.
I think the challenge in trying to evaluate Dembélé is in how he fits into, or how he did fit into what Barcelona were doing. Obviously, you have to play to Lionel Messi's strength and in support of that. One thing that those stats don't show is Dembélé scored very important goals for Barcelona. Right. So maybe the numbers themselves, just the pure numbers, aren't really reflective of his importance to the club. I think Dembélé is an incredible talent and potentially has the world at his feet. The trouble for him is that he seemed to get caught up in this big player at a big club belief. And got swept away with it without recognizing exactly what it takes from people inside that very dressing room. Now, he just did not mature, and it just didn't seem to hit him between the eyes in time. And that's where the risk is for me, not necessarily in terms of his talent.
Raf, back out to you, because Barcelona essentially signed Dembélé right after Neymar had left for PSG. And in fact, as recently as March, their president, Bartomeu, said, listen, Dembélé is better than Neymar. But of course, everything could change if Neymar goes back to the Nou Camp.
Well, exactly. And I think it was a bit of a panic buy. I think they paid over the odds. And I think perhaps no one was doing Dembélé any favours, effectively asking him to be the successor to Neymar, especially at that transfer fee. But it will be interesting. But I think Bayern are tempted. They're tempted in the sense that they're thinking back to when they signed Robben and Ribéry, both players who came with huge risks. You know, Ribéry was seen as a troublemaker, really hard to domesticate. Robben was always injured. And they got these guys because bigger clubs, other clubs felt that this is too much of a risk. And I think some of that thinking might come into making a decision on Dembélé. The big difference this time, though, is these guys, those veterans, they were domesticated, they were integrated by the likes of Heinkes and Hitzfeld. Now you've got someone in Kovac who might not have the authority to do that. So I think Bayern will be very, very careful before making that decision.